Welcome all, welcome to this lab of object-oriented programming. Today we'll be continuing with our programs and today we'll be seeing practical number 14. So let me show the disclaimer, then I'll start the session. Okay, so let's start the session now. And today we'll be doing practical number 14. So let's see what is that, what does the practical say? It says that we have to write a program that creates an array list. Okay, so list is a data type and array list is again a data type on top of it. Okay, so once you will see the data types available in Java, you'll be able to understand what is a list. But right now, just consider it that it's an advanced kind of array. Okay, an array that can have multiple types of objects inside it, not only of single type. Right? We normally use arrays like this, right? See, check this out. We say int arr, and this is the array, right? Now, what this arr represents? It's an array of all integers, right? It's an array of all integers. But now, what if we want to put different types of objects into it? Then array list can be used, which can add different types of objects to it. So that's what the program is saying us to do. What it wants us to add a lone object, a date object, a string, and a circle object to the list. Okay. So there are about 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 types of objects needs to be added into this array list. Okay. And then you have to use a loop to display all the elements in the list by invoking the objects toString method. Okay, so that what is toString method that we will see today. Okay, this is a toString method that we have to invoke, so we'll have to put the code for that also. Okay, so let's go to practical number 14. In this practical number 14, see in this list, in this program, what we have done is what I have done is specifically, check this out. Let me show you what are the things over here. Okay, this is the lone class. Just a minute, let me just okay, and right now, see this. These are the two classes that we have created: lone and myCircle class. Okay, and in this main method, what we are doing is, in the main method, we start with, check this out. So this much is the main method code. Okay, this much is the main method code, where basically we start with making an array list of type object. So array list, basically while making array list, we can specify what types of objects you want to use, and this is the object class. Now there is something called as object class. Okay, now this object class is the superclass of all objects. Okay, it is basically the superclass of all objects. So if you define any object, let's say you define an object called as car, right? Or you might define an object like a loan. Okay, like let's say loan, right? Or you might define an object like shape, right? So any object that you make, any class that you make for a particular type of object, that class will always inherit the object class. Now we have also to see what is inheritance. Inheritance is nothing but the concept of superclass being inherited from subclass. So what all the properties that the superclass have, those will be inherited by the subclass. We have slightly seen this in previous sessions, right? So if suppose this class has got some let's say 3 properties, and this shape class has got, let's say, 2 properties, and these are public, these properties of object are public, then shape class in all gets 5 properties, 3 of object and 2 of its own. So that's what is called as the simply the concept of inheritance. That is the concept of inheritance. Okay, so you can specifically inherit any class, but by default in Java, just remember that every class that you make or any class that is available in Java, by default it is the subclass of this object class, and there are various methods available in this object class, okay, that we will see today that we can use. Okay, so that's why here we have used the word over here as object. So we are making an array list object we are making an array list of type object. Okay, what is this? Check this out. This is the object class available in java.lang package, and it is the root of the class hierarchy. So any class hierarchy you see, object will be on the top. So that's why it is called as root of the class hierarchy. Okay, and every class has object as a superclass. Every class in Java has got object as its superclass. Okay, and all objects also including arrays, right, implement the method of this class. So, and there is another class called as class also, java.lang.class, which represents the class thing itself. Okay, the way there is an object class, there is a class named class also. Understand? So now this typically says that array list will consist of different types of objects. If you want to specifically make array list of lone objects, then you can say array list of lone. That's also fine. But now this see when you try to add some other different types of object to it, it says, see, this array list, this add method of this array list is basically adding only a lone type. It's adding a lone type. It allows to add only a lone type, right? Not anything else. So see here we are getting the error. Here we are getting the, you can see here we are getting the error, right? And so if I want to make it my circle class, that's also fine, right? And keeping it as object means that any type of any object of any class can be saved in this array list. That's the best way. So you are making an array list of type object, which will have various objects of different types. Okay, then you say new array list. Okay, and check this out. Here we give the brackets, and here also we give the braces. Why we give this brackets? To invoke this brackets shows that we are invoking the constructor. We are invoking the constructor. Okay, that is an array list object. We just created an array list object calling it as list. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to create various objects of different types and add all these objects to this array list. Okay, so we first created a loan object, loan account, that's the name, equal to new loan, and we pass various things to it like ID, name of the user, then there is this number of duration or tenure of the loan, then the interest rate, and also the loan amount. Okay, so these are the things that are passed to this loan constructor in order to create a loan object. And then what do? We add it to this list. We say list.add loan account. Okay, similarly we create a very simple date object by saying date current date is equal to new date, and then we add that date object also to this list. Okay, then we create a string object by saying string str equal to this is just a description, or we can say this is just a simple string, and then we add that string to the list, and then we create object of my circle class by saying my circle class circle is equal to new my circle class 4, and then we also add that circle to the list. Okay, so 4 things have been added. What all 4 things have been added? One is the loan object is added over here. The loan object is being added. Okay, over here the date object is being added. Okay, then over here what is being added? Over here a string object is being added. Okay, and over here an object of my circle class. Okay, an object of a class named my circle class is being added. So 4 different types of objects are being added. And what did we want? We wanted to add an array list. To an array list we wanted to add a loan, a date, a string, and a circle object. That's it. So these 4 things, these 4 types of objects had to be added, right? So that we have done in between this line number 11 to line number 18. Now, after adding these different types of objects to array list, what you have to do is we have to simply use, check this out, in this for loop, we simply iterate over the loop by saying for int I equal to 0, I is less than listener size, and I plus plus, and just, in each iteration we simply print, we say list dot get I, so get the ith element. Okay, so this is how we access array list. See, since it is a list, we use get method, and since it's an array list, we use the index. Okay, it's a combination of array and list. Arrays use index to access the elements, and lists use get method. Okay, lists use get method to get the objects. So this is a combination of both get method and index, saying that you get this indexed object, and then once you get that object, you invoke its toString method. Even if you don't invoke it, it will directly call this toString method because we are putting that object into system.out.println. Okay. So let me show you what happens when we put an object into system.out.println if we don't have toString method. First, let me show you that part. Okay. So here I'll go to unit 4 and I'll create a new object saying toString example. This is a class, right? And in this, what I will do is, in this class, I will basically try to, yes, here it is. Here is the class count, right? So here I'll simply use the class count. Okay, I'll just put it over here and I'll give it the name as my count. Okay, and in this my count, what we will do is, in this my count, this out. We have over here public. Okay, let's not add anything to this right now. Okay, in this toString example, let me make this main method inside which I will say my count c1 is equal to new my count. Okay, and what name would we give? We would give okay, so we don't have to pass any parameters, so that's it, fine. We'll just say new my count. Okay, now what we have is we have incremented count to something. Okay, and we can even set it to something, right? So let me just try to print, if let's see what happens if I print this whole object that has got this count of into it, right? As a system.out.println and simply print c1, like my count object, right? Let's see what happens when we try to do this. Okay, See, check this out. What has happened? Here, this is the output. This is the output of the program. What is that output? Check this out. It has got the full class name along with the package name. Class name is also there. And after the class name, @ symbol is there, and there is something. What is this? So basically, first part is the class name before the @ and the second part is basically the hash code. This is the hash code that represents that unique object. Okay, every object is unique, so every object has got a hash code, which is printed like this way. When you basically put the object into system.out.println statement, when you put any object in this system.out.println, when you basically use any object, okay, when you put any object to println method, basically at that time what happens is that object is represented in this manner. Basically, what does it do? It calls, this thing calls the toString method of that object. What this thing calls basically the toString method of that object. But if the toString method is not implemented in by that particular class, then it prints something like this. From where then does it get the toString method code? Then it uses the toString method of object class. And it uses what? It uses the toString method of object class. Now we know that object class is a superclass of all classes, right? So what are methods it has that will get inherited by the subclasses? So toString method is belonging to object class, and if we do not have our own toString method, right? If we do not have, then it will call the toString method of object class, and according to it, it will give the output. Understand? This is what happens. Okay. So let me show you what happens if we put the toString code. Okay. If we put a toString method, we can control the way the object is shown to the user. Okay. So check this out. Here we say public toString will obviously return a string, right? This is the name toString. It does not take any parameter. So it simply returns. What we can return anything, whatever you want, right? So we say count is this. We are returning this string, a specific string. And now see what happens when we put C1 to the print element. Okay. I simply run this. Check this out. This is output. Count is 1. You see that? So this toString methods helps us define what will happen if the object of this myCount class is basically put to a println statement. Okay, or if it is used along with strings. What if we concat a string to this object? So that's what we are doing here, right? Here we see, here we are concatenating a string with a variable. Similarly, here we can concat the C1 with some particular string, because it returns a string only, So that's the main thing, this toString method helps us convert a particular, or helps us make a particular string so that the user can understand the, the structure of the object, right? So see now what happens. I simply say C1 dot count is equal to 10, right? And I again use this system.out.println. Now let's check what happens when I run this. Okay, check this out. Here the count is 1 first, and then it has become 10, right? So obviously count has become 10, but the output has also changed. You see, the output of toString has also changed accordingly, right? So this is how toString can be used to basically represent an object, right? To basically represent an object in a string form. That is what the use of toString method. And normally it is used when it gets concatenated. Let's say, see here, if I say use a new string, say new output, and attach it to C1. That also works fine, very, very fine. What will happen is it will see, the compiler will see that there is a string and there is an object, right? There is a what? There is a string and there is a object. So basically object is converted into string by calling its what? By calling its toString method, which will return the string, and those strings will be what? Those strings will be concatenated. Okay. Okay, on this, get the output. Okay. What happened? Okay, so here we have to say C1 dot toString. Okay, that would be much better. Here it is. Count is 1 and the new output says that count is 10. Okay. So that is what happens when we have a toString method. See, if I remove this, check this out. If I remove this and run it, then what happens? Accordingly, the output comes. Okay. And if I don't remove this, okay, and I run it, then the output is somewhat understandable. You see, you can check the difference between both the outputs. This is the output when you output. This is basically the output when you don't have toString method. Okay, and this is the output basically. What? This is the output when you have the toString method. You see the difference between them. Here the object is represented as the class name and @hash code, whereas here the object is represented in the form of a particular string that is descriptive. That is descriptive. So that's the difference. You can add some description to your object representation by adding a toString method, whereas the by default method that you inherit from the object class does not give you proper output. Does not give you a meaningful output. It gives you a proper output, but not a meaningful output. Okay, this is called a meaningful output. Okay, so that is the use of toString. So now let's get back to our practical. Okay, and in this practical, check this out. What we are doing is we are simply saying list.get I. So get an element from ith location, and then we call toString method on it, saying dot toString. So that element, maybe that object will be converted to string, or simply this toString method is invoked, and whatever it returns, it gets printed over here. So first a loan object will be invoked. That will the details of this loan object will get printed. Then the date object is get printed. Then the string itself, the string object itself is a string, so you don't need to convert it to string. And the my circle class object is right. So for this particular object and for this particular object, the toString method, the toString method of those particular classes are invoked. Which classes? Loan class and my circle class, and also for date. Okay, for date. Okay. So Okay, so for this we don't need. We don't need this, since itself is a string. So the date object is converted to string. Loan object is converted to string. MyCircle class object is converted to string using toString method. Okay, so we can decide how to convert an object to a string, or in which way to represent the object into a string by implementing the toString method. Okay, so check this out. Now there are two. Now date has got its own implementation, right? String has got its own implementation. We have to just check these two classes, MyCircle class and loan class. So check this out. This is the loan class. It has got what? It has got 5 variables into it: account number, account holder name, tenure, interest rate, and amount. Okay, and it has got a constructor, where it accepts all these things, and it uses, it stores all those parameters that have been sent into the loan constructor into this instance variables. Now see, here the issue is, check this out. Here what is new to you people is basically, check this out properly. Here these are what? These are the instance variables, right? These are the instance variables. Okay, these are instance variables, and these basically, these all are basically what? These are all the parameters sent to the loan constructor. Okay, and now see, the name of the parameters and name of the instance variables are same. So how would you assign this particular parameter to this particular instance variable? How would you do that, right? Or how would you simply differentiate between both? So to differentiate between the both, we use this operator. We say this dot account number. What is this? This represents the current object. The current object for which the loan constructor is being invoked. So this represents the current object, and through this operator you can use, or this keyword you can use the the properties of that particular object. So which properties does it have? Object has got these 5 properties. So all these 5 properties can be accessed using this operator. So there is a difference. This dot ACC number here, this dot ACC number represents this particular property. Okay, whereas this ACC number represents this local variable or the local parameter. Okay, understand? That's the difference. So this operator is very much helpful when we have the parameter name same as the instance variable name, and we want to assign that parameter to that particular instance variable. So now this ACC number is local to this loan constructor, and this dot account number belongs to the object that is being accessed, and the account number of that particular object. Okay, so this is what how the loan constructor is defined. Okay, if this operator is needed specifically to differentiate these two things. If this account number, instead of this account number, if I would have used NO, then there would have no use of using this operator over here. Okay, I would simply say account number is equal to NO. That is also okay. This thing is also okay. Why? Because it is able to understand that this particular account number. Okay, now it is able to understand what? It is able to understand that this account number, okay, is nothing but this particular instance variable of the object, and this number is nothing but our local parameter or local variable, or simply the parameter that is sent, right? So there is no need of this operator in this first statement. But if the parameter name would have been same, then check, see what happens. If we use the same parameter name, then there is no use of saying ACC number equal to ACC number. It's like, assigning the value of ACC number to itself. It's like that, but not to this ACC number. This is an instance variable again, and this is a parameter. You should know that, right? So both are different. So that's why we need this operator to specify that this ACC number. This ACC number belongs to the instance. This is an instance variable, and this is a local variable or simply a parameter. Okay. So we define a loan constructor in which we accept 5 things, and those 5 things are assigned to the 5 instance variables of the loan object. And then we simply have the getter and setter methods for each and every variable. Okay, so for example, for amount we have get amount and set amount. Account number we have get account number, set account number. Similarly for holder name, tenure, interest rate. And there is a toString method also. Check this out. What is having, we are interested in this part right now. What is there in this toString method? So we have implemented our own toString method, and here we say string str is equal to loan account details, account number, get account number, then account holder is this, account holder name is this, amount is this, tenure is this much, and interest rate is this much. So you simply make a string, a big string, and you return that string. So that's why this toString returns a string, right? And that will be given where? That will be given, that result will be given over here when this loan object is getting printed. So all the details that we had given during the constructor are getting printed now after the object has been created, and after that when it has been invoked, when its toString method is invoked, we get all these details. Okay. Similarly, there is myCircle class. If we see that myCircle class, it has got only one instance variable, that is radius. In myCircle class, we send the, what do? We send the radius parameter, and we assign that radius parameter to this particular object's radius. So this dot radius represents this part, whereas simply this radius represents this parameter. So both are different. Understand? Normally, when the right hand side variables, or simply the parameters, have the same name as the reference variables, or sorry, as the instance variables, then we use this operator to differentiate between the instance variable and the parameter. Okay. And here also we have a toString method. Let's see what is there in toString method. Here it makes a string saying circle details are this: radius, get radius, and area. This is area. Okay. So we are having get radius method and an area method, and also a set radius method, right? So here instead of get area, simple area, you can say get area. That would be the method name. That could be the method name. So we simply say get area. Okay. And here we have what? Get radius. Okay. So let's run this now. If I run this, you'll get to see that different types of output is being displayed. See, this is the full output, and the first line is about loan account details. Right, first line is about loan account details. Second is for date. Third one is the string itself, and the fourth one is about circle. You see, right? So that is what a simple what we have created over here, we have created a very simple uh, array list object which stores different types of you know objects into this array list. Okay. Okay, any doubt regarding this, please do let me know. Yes, this is our practical number, what? Practical number 14. Okay, where we make use of an array list object that can store different objects types, and then we create different objects and add those to the list, and then we simply use the for loop to invoke the toString method of all those objects. Okay, and then we have defined what we return in the toString method for myCircle class and also the loan class. Okay, we have different methods for it. Okay, and then when we run it, it will invoke toString method of all the objects one by one. Okay, so that is what is the output. Okay, so if at all any doubts, please do let me know.